Now, believe it or not, I started this video. I recorded quite a bit of it, and I misread Patrick's hand. I was thinking Patrick has like an ace. Anyway, let's get to it. This hand is being played by Phil Ivey versus Patrick Antonius. They are considered two of the best players that ever lived, although it's very difficult to narrow it down because of the variables in poker, how to keep track of things and so on. But Patrick especially has always struck me like someone who approaches the game very, very professionally. Like around his life, I feel like he wakes up at the same time every time. And again, I don't know for sure, but it's just based on the things I sense and things I heard about him. It seems like he approaches it truly like a robot, which is the absolute best way to approach a game like poker, where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of things that can go wrong. So let's get to it. So the hand in this video starts with Phil Ivey, Patrick Antonius calling in the big blind, but what I think happened is Tony G raised, Phil Ivey called in the small blind, and Patrick called in the big blind with nines.
Well, oh wow, what a flop here. We've got a monster. We've got a set of nines for Phil Ivey, but we've got an...
So here, Patrick flops an ace. It's not a monster flop at all.
And if you get cute with it, Tony G, he's...
Patrick has just an ace on a very on a very high board with a flush draw. All kind of draws will beat him a lot of the time eventually. And he doesn't even have a spade to block spades. Let's say the jack of spades, which we know is in Tony G's hand. So it's not very big at all. Yeah. So I think the reason that I got confused earlier on this hand, because I've seen a similar hand between them where it was full house over full house, but the other way around, where Patrick had like jacks full of aces and Phil Ivey had aces full. This is why I was in that mindset. It's hilarious. I didn't even realize till this point that you will know who will win the hand anyway.
Phil Ivey leading out with his set. He's not interested in just trying to pick the 5,000-6,000 up there or get a small continuation.
So Phil bets.
Tony G gets away from the jack. And it's just Patrick Antonius and Phil Ivey, the two big losers of the game so far today.
Patrick calls and Tony G gets away from it, which is interesting. He usually is a little bit loose. He has a jack of spades and he had a gut shot. He got away from it, so.
That is such a gin card there. The ace of spades on the turn. Antonius got trip aces, but Ivey's got a full house nines full of aces. The pot is already nearly 17.
Now Phil Ivey is going to be ahead there most of the time. The only hands that beat him are queens full, aces full of nines, and aces full of queens, which is very unlikely for Patrick to have. Now, the reason Ivey is betting here is because he's hoping that Patrick is going to have a flush there. A decent percentage of the time where he would have called the flop with, let's say, Jack 10 of spades and so on. He's not going to be able to get away from it here, especially if the 8 or the king of spades are going to give him a straight flush. And Ivey also thinks that there's a chance Patrick has an ace because Tony G raised pre-flop and then folded on the flop, so he almost certainly doesn't have an ace. So there's also that chance that Patrick has an ace. So he's still very much ahead of trip aces here. In other words, most of the time, Patrick is not going to make a full house. Especially that in this case, two of the nines are not available anymore. So there are, in this case, 3 fours and 3 queens. That's 6 cards, and 2 aces. That's 8 cards. So you multiply the 8 by 2, and that's why you get 16%. That's the chance of Patrick Antonius making a full house at this point.
I'll be shocked if he doesn't call it.
Now Patrick is not folding here. He's not loving his ace. Phil can have an ace also because, again, Tony G folded, and that's important. And Phil can also have a flush, but Patrick cannot just fold, especially if the 4 comes. He's gonna make a lot of money because Phil Ivey is never gonna put him on specifically ace 4. He already ruled out in his mind that Patrick has ace queen, and he figured there's a very little chance that Patrick has a hand like ace 9 suited, again because he has 2 of the 9s, so there's only 1 9 left. So he knows he has him beat most of the time, like 95% of the time. And he knows that Patrick, if he calls here, he has very, very little chance to win. If he calls with just a flush, unless it's like Jack 10 of spades or a gut shot to royal flush or something, he knows he has Patrick in very, very bad shape. And for Patrick, there's no reason to raise here. If he raises and Phil Ivey doesn't have anything, he's just going to fold, so he's going to lose him. And if he raises and Phil Ivey decided to re-raise him on a bluff, let's say, it's very, very difficult for him to call because he only has trip aces. Flushes beat him and all the other full houses beat him.
$100.
Do you think there's actually any way that Patrick Antonius can actually lay this hand down? There's not really a lot he can actually beat here.
Called 15.
Well, he definitely doesn't have a raising hand. He doesn't have much of a kicker. He can't beat an ace, he can't beat spades, and he can't beat a set.
Fast card.
Here's the river.
Of course, if you are a TV producer or a commentator, you are loving this card because it's going to bring excitement and people are, overly excited about stuff like that. So now the pot is about 47,000. Let's see what happens.
A 4 on the river, and Antonius has made full house. The pot is already $46,000. I don't see how Ivey doesn't lose all his money here. You got to realize if a queen had come out or an ace, you get away from the 9s, but not the 4.
The 4 is the absolute joker for Patrick Antonius.
Unbelievable.
Now Phil Ivey bet 40,000 into 46,000.
Ladies get out of jail free card. Now it's just
And we know he's not bluffing because he has a very big hand. In his mind, a lot of the time he's going to think, if he gets raised now, I don't know how much exactly they have behind. I think they are pretty deep. In his mind, he thinks if Patrick raises here, like a lot, some of the time he's going to fold because he figures on a bet like this, you're only going to raise by something that's better. Now that might work a lot more on maybe smaller stakes. But because these guys, because Ivey knows that Patrick Antonius knows that, he also might think that Patrick might raise him, knowing that they know that, like both of them know that. So that's another level. Now, this bet also is very good bet because the flush is going to have a hard time getting away from it. So Ivey wants to get paid big. So Ivey knows that there's a much better chance that Patrick Antonius had the hand rather than he is still drawing. So that's a really, really good bet. I really, really like it. Now the problem for Ivey is Patrick made a full house and only Two hands beat him, ace-queen and ace-9.
$40,000 bet. The pot is now $86,000, and the action is on Antonius. And do you just move in here?
I think he does. I think he's just going to move his chips in. He's got the right amount for a standard kind of raise.
Funny how Ivey looks at him when he says all in. Now the pot is 86,000, but I don't know how much
moves all in.
Patrick Antonius' stack is. They should put how much he's betting. So. Which is how much?
I think they pretty well.
43.
Exactly
so he has in the pot about 17,000.
You're right. Patrick Antonius started the hand with 143,000.
And
Phil Ivey 142. And this pot size is $207,000. I want to say about 90 to call.
85.
That's going to make this pot almost $300,000. And I can't see how Phil can get away from this. He's not going to give him ace-queen.
No, a lot of players would have
ace-9. The only hand he's really
called pretty quickly here. Ivey is not posturing. He's not even making it look like, oh, you know, I'm even contemplating a fold here. When eventually people see what he has. He's good enough. He's good enough. A lot of really good players are good enough to just fold here. I honestly forgot what happens. I can't read the title anymore, so let's watch this. And he's getting really good odds too. He's getting 2-1 on his money. So.
2-1.
Unbelievable.
Cool.
He says call.
Now, very often they present these very big players as, you know, super millionaires. The pot like that is not going to hurt them. The thing is, you don't know what they are going through financially. We don't know unless you're super close to them, and maybe even in that case, you won't know. Like Ivey, not too long ago, got involved in a scandal where he basically was edge sorting. Maybe I'll make a video about that. Basically using his own deck to play at the casino, which allowed him, but he was using the edges of the cards to figure out what they are. And he had a partner, and he beat the casino for a lot of money. In my opinion, it was cheating, but not, you know, not a specific kind of cheating. Maybe I'll make a video about that. Having said that, the reason he probably did that because he was down on his luck and wanted to make a lot of money. Otherwise, he wouldn't have risked his reputation and stuff. But because of the nature of the scandal, his reputation wasn't necessarily damaged. Anyway, he calls and he sees the bad news. This video is 15 minutes. I'm at 4 minutes, so I don't know what happens after that, but I will end it right here. If you want to watch it, you can look for Phil Ivey versus Patrick Antonius Full House Battle on this channel, I guess. So, that would be all for now. Following this, I will update my results for the week and what's going on in my poker road to success. Until next week, take care, bye-bye. Hello everyone, this is an update on week 3. So how did we do this week? On the first site, I played mostly tournaments. Again, it is not worth mentioning the other things I'm playing, they are very small. I played a total of 72 tournaments. I made the money 12 times. I'm down $436.75. Now, most of my loss came in one day where I messed up with my bankroll management. The first day of the week was very good. I was up about 150. So we started the week with 788.75. We finished at $352 and we are down $436.75. Now what happened is at the last day of the week, there was a tournament that I really wanted to play. It was this $300 tournament. So I started playing satellites for it. I spent $100 on satellites. On one hand, because I have been having some issues with the software, it seems to be solved now for the most part. Whenever there was a table change, it will take too long to open, and sometimes it crashed the software. It no longer crashes the software, but on that day, it was taking too long to open. I had a hand where I was supposed to go all in with it, with King Queen. I couldn't get to it in time. My hand folded. And that would have been a pot that I would have won a huge pot. Everyone else that was in the hand was going to be in the hand anyway. Now, some of you might think, well, that's being results-oriented. It is and it is not, because let's say if I had 7 deuce in that spot and I folded and it timed out, yeah, it wouldn't have affected anything. But the fact that it did affect something and I was going to play it, then it does make a difference. Now, some of you might think, well, you might end up playing a hand and losing it, and so timing out would have saved you. That's also not true, because that would be my choice to play the hand. So imagine that all of my hands are being folded. Does that mean I saved money because some of them were going to be losing hands? Of course not. So that affected me. It affected me mentally a lot. And because that would have pretty much gave me a seat. That was a huge pot. Or at least like 75% chance. So then I said to myself, fuck it, I'm going to enter the tournament. I entered the tournament and I made the playing mistake. I think under the gun when I had 13 big blinds, I had Queen Jack suited. I should have gone all in. I folded, and to rub it in my face, of course, I made a flush and I would have tripled up plus change. Having said all that, discipline is one of the most important things in playing poker, and I fucked up on that day. This will probably be my biggest losing day in the year. If you like base it on what games I'm supposed to be playing, and probably the biggest percentage I'm going to ever lose out of my bankroll. I lost about 50% of my bankroll on that day. So that was a big mess up. Now the thing about discipline is that you get tired being disciplined. You get tired doing anything, and being disciplined, you cannot really do it 100% of the time. So when you cannot be disciplined, you should not play, or maybe learn how to play within it. So like tighten up your range and stuff like that, and tighten up your bankroll management when you feel not disciplined. For example, if you are not feeling disciplined and you are playing $5 tournaments, and now you want to jump to 10, 15, 20, what you should do probably is go down, like to counter it. So start playing $3 tournaments, or just quit altogether, which can be difficult because if your routine is playing poker at a certain time and you are not playing poker, doing something else is very unnatural. Unless you have something else that you absolutely enjoy doing, it's going to be difficult. So on my first site, I played 72 tournaments. I made it to the money 12 times, and I'm down for $36.75. Again, it would have been a positive week had I not messed up on that day. On my secondary site, which I play in Bitcoin, again, I played mostly tournaments. I played 23 tournaments there. I made the money 34% of the time, so it seems like 7 times or so. Because the reason I'm saying or so, because on this site, my Hold'em Manager actually can't keep track. On the main site I play on, it doesn't support Hold'em Manager, so I have to write everything down. So I played 23 tournaments, and I'm up about, based on Bitcoin's price today, I'm up about $40. Now, I estimated that on this site, I'm going to make about $600 a month if I play about every day, and it's about there, or I'm up about 150 this month, and there are still 9-10 days to go. So yeah, that will conclude my week. Hopefully we have a good week this week. Again, I record these videos on Tuesday, so I played yesterday, and I don't want to reveal what happened yet. Nothing too exciting anyway. So right now my channel is not receiving any views, and that's fine. Hopefully, eventually, a couple of people will click on it, maybe see some value in it, suggest making videos, make them more exciting, and that will go on. That will make it grow, maybe. I'm not, expecting it to become huge or anything, because I'm not like gonna put myself out there in the sense like some vloggers do. But maybe I will have some kind of like coalitions, I guess, with some people who are pretty cool and know what they are talking about. And yeah, that would be all for now. So yeah, I'm using it more as kind of like keeping track of my results for now, and then hopefully, someone will see some value in it, and we will go from there. So until next week, take care, bye-bye.